Spring is a time when the land blooms with flowers. The waters, in turn, give off an atmosphere of the spring season. Taebyeon port of Kijang-gun is full of excitement. The onset of this season is welcomed with a large catch of anchovies. When the anchovies are shaken off the nets into the air, the season also makes its way into the lives of the fishermen of Taebyeon port. It is a season of abundance and warmth. The East Sea is as fertile as ever, and at its side is a land that is as bountiful as the waters. The city of Busan, Kijang County, is one such land. Taebyeon port is one of the places where the deepest parts of Kijang County could be seen. This is where our journey will take place today. It is easy to tell when spring has arrived at Taebyeon port because it is when it's bustling with activity.
고기를 많이 잡아야 내 자식한테 짜장면 한 그릇 가능한데 고기 못 잡으면 짜장면이 없어. 그렇게 피곤하지. 고기 몇 마리 못 잡으면.
When the weather gets warmer, many boats set off across the waters. They are out to catch the seasonal anchovies. The boats are full of people even before they've reeled up any anchovies. The people are well aware that spring in Taebyeon port means large catches of anchovies.
봄멸치 이제 조업하니까 이제 그런 봄을 이제 실감을 하지. 고기가 이제 양이 많아지고 이제 고기가 좀 많이 잡히면.
Their first job of the day is to locate the areas where the anchovies are concentrated using an instrument called a fish finder. This is the job of the boat captain.
남쪽으로 일본하고 한국하고 경계선 쪽에 거기서 어군이 형성돼 가지고 여기서 한 2시간 넘어 가야 됩니다.
There used to be a time when the fishermen used to find the anchovies by instinct instead of using a fish finder. The seagulls used to assist them, acting as their guide. In other regions, bamboo and nets are cast into the ocean in advance in order to catch anchovies. But in Kijang, they use drift gill nets. The nets that are cast into the water flow along with the course of the waves and block off the path of the school of anchovies. The passing anchovies then become trapped in the netting. The nets are reeled in, full of glittering silver. As the fish dance around under the shining sun, the fishermen dance around on the boat in turn. The anchovies keep streaming in. There is no greater reward than a deck full of fish for a hard day's work. When the nets full of fish are raised, the seagulls that led the way begin to dive toward the water. They flock around the boats, heading straight to the water's surface to scavenge for food.
오늘 고기도 너무 많이 잡고 이제 가야 되는데 내리 타는 일만 남았어. 그래서 살다.
At the end of the day, the men on board get to enjoy a special treat. It's one of the perks of being a seaman, something that those on land don't have access to.
이 바다에 싱싱하게 금방 올라가 해하는 것은 뭐 우승우역의 우승 약인데 대통령도 이 맛 못 모르는 그런 고기입니다.
The best food in the world is food that is eaten where it is produced in its most abundant season. Nothing that grows on land comes close to the tastes of the sea.
물론 횟집에서도 먹어도 맛이 있지만은요, 배에서 먹는 게 가장 진맛입니다. 먹고 사고 이런 맛은 또 배에서 먹으면 또 육지에서 먹는 것보다 더 맛이 특이합니다.
Anchovies from Taebyeon Port had long been a specialty of the royal meals for the king. Spring anchovies are especially tender and high in fat because they are nearing their breeding season and tend to melt inside the mouth.
오늘 이거 모든 피로가 싹 풀리는 것입니다. 이 맛배나 이 멸치 맛바람에 이 너무 맛있어가지고 배를 못 떠나고 계속 멸치 배만 타고 있습니다.
It has been 10 hours since the boat has left the harbor. It is time to return to land and bring back the message of the spring season. Taebyeon Port is about to get busy for a second time today. Some may even say that this is the real beginning of the day's work.
멸치 이 가장 일중에 된 일이 멸치 트는 일이 제일 땡깁니다. 모든 스포츠 쉬다 하지만 이거 그것도 계속 하려면 피곤하면 됩니다.
The task is to shake off the anchovies that are caught snugly inside the netting. Each time the net is shook with all the fishermen's might, the anchovies fly into the air, dancing around in the darkening sky. The men work away tirelessly, and the scene draws in onlookers, fascinated by their routine. Some even manage to salvage a few leftovers. The men deftly go about their task while the fish continue to fly. The sounds of their heavy breathing and the shaking of the nets fill the harbor. Spring is at its highest peak. The season is also good news for the merchants of the seafood market at Taebyeon Port. Taebyeon's anchovies are famous for being both tasty and nutritious. This is especially true for the spring batch.
이 멸치는 오늘 완전히 이거 금 한 돈보다 더 좋은 멸치다 이거는. 얼마나 물건이 싱싱하다 오늘 처음 이거 직거래 하는 겁니다. 이런 거는 5만 원, 6만 원 줘도 안 아깝습니다. 1년 농사. 왜?
어시가 좋습니다. 어시 맛이 틀리다. 살초발에 담아야지. 살초발 들어가면 또 못 먹어. 맛이 없어서.
봄멸치가 왜 좋아요?
왜 좋냐면은 국물이 많이 나오고 다시가 많이 나옵니다. 이 멸치가 잔자부리하이. 이 멸치는 말멸치하고 틀립니다. 육질이 연하거든요.
These anchovies are plump from swimming around in the strong waves of the Kijang waters.
이 육천은
They are packaged and ready to be fermented. Soon they will come in extremely handy for a certain household in their pickling of kimchi. At the corner of the market is a batch of spring anchovies ready to be prepared.
오늘 멸치는 참 이게 이쁘네요. 이렇게 퍼진 데도 없고.
아유, 미인들이 까면 그런데 내 빼고.
Taebyun Port's anchovies make up 60% of the anchovies in the nation. They are prepared differently according to how they will be eaten.
구이는요 이렇게 머리가 이렇게 붙어야 되고요. 예. 자 찌개는 머리를 이렇게 떼요. 이렇게. 그래갖고 이제 이렇게 싹 창지를 긁어 이렇게 하면 찌개. 요거를 이제 딱 누질러 갖고 이렇게 딱 양 살기 딱 돌가지 나오지요. 이러면 이렇게 딱 하면 이거는 회. 하나 둘 셋 끝.
They grew up in the same waters, but are meant to be used for different purposes. The women work all day, crouched at the corner to prepare anchovies the size of their fingers.
하다가 욕지라면 하다가 술이라면 해 떠난 구두에서 올라있지 않을 것을.
If it had not been for the songs that were to be sung together, the work would have been much more exhausting. The sun begins to set, and the port shows another side of itself. The smell of roasting anchovies fills the air. They are laid side by side to roast on top of briquettes. The thin anchovies that are normally thought to be useful for making soup base are feasted on as the main dish here. Every spring, the delicious flavors of the Taebyun anchovies lure visitors to the area.
소금 이렇게 굽어서 먹는 그 맛이 잊어버리지 않고 한 번씩 와갖고 먹습니다.
Enjoying a mouthful of these anchovies is one thing that must be done on a spring trip to Kijang. Night has blanketed over the region. It is a time when the hubbub would die down and a quiet calm would overtake the area. At Taebyun Port in spring, however, it is an exception. The men are still hard at work, 6 hours since they first began the task. By now, they are covered head to toe in anchovy flesh and gut that have splattered all over the place. But as long as there is fish left on the nets, the melodious chants of the fishermen do not die down. The noisier the port is well into the night, the more abundant the season is for the fishermen. It is near midnight, and the nets that are strewn all around the boats are piled high with the day's catch. Thanks to the generosity of the seas, stacks of crates full of anchovies are laid onto trucks at the end of a restless day. The plump spring anchovies are then transported to deliver the taste of spring to those who wait. Spring at Taebyun Port is full of life. Having just arrived, it will continue to bring joy to the region for the coming days.